Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Michael Matt. This is the Remnant Underground. So yet another World Youth Day is in the books. How did it go? Well, to tell you the truth, I have no idea because I don't follow them anymore. I find it very difficult to follow World Youth Day and take it seriously. I'm just getting old. I'm sure that's part of it. But they all start to look very much the same to me. You know, all the kids go into some place, some exciting place far away. They sit there in the throngs and throngs of people and they look for that little white cassock on the stage. Lots of partying, and I understand that. You see somebody like the Pope, it's exciting. He's like one of the most famous people in the world, but you can't necessarily mistake that for, oh my gosh, I am having a mystical experience. He's really famous. You know, people who are even critics of Pope Francis have said that when they're standing in his presence, they get weak-kneed, because that's just the nature of the way things go. So a little opening chat about World Youth Day, I think, is in order. Just to try to lend a little perspective. You know, there's lots of partying going on, lots of dancing, lots of good times. I remember the dancing sisters of Saint Faustina. It was kind of, I don't know if I call it a scandal, but everybody was talking about the dancing nuns of Sister Faustina back in World Youth Day Poland. Do you remember? That's cute. That's cute. I just really wonder, does that sort of thing work with young people? Are young people really moved by the nuns, sinking the dancing and stuff and doing their thing on the beat? Maybe, but I'm skeptical. This one was from World Youth Day Krakow 2016. And as we play this one, as Walter throws it up on the screen, I want you to pay attention to the young people who are sitting on the bench behind the dancing sisters. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, the guys there on the right, they look bored out of their gourds. Look at this one. This nun, she runs over there and she says, "Come on, you guys, this is fun. Let's get up and dance." But they don't, because they think this is corny and sort of cringeworthy, right? Which is kind of what it is. So then the sister finally comes back looking embarrassed, and the clip ends with the nuns applauding themselves and holding their hands up. I don't mean to pick on the nuns. I just don't understand what that is. And I really, really wonder. I know when I was young, that would not have worked. I would have been, "Thank you, Sister Mary Chocolate, but we're going to go away now, because we don't get this. You're supposed to be nuns, spiritual brides of Christ, right?" Now, I'm not getting all worked up over this because it's World Youth Day. And what do you think is going to happen at World Youth Day 50, 60 years after Novus Ordo conditioning? This is what happens. People have lost track of it all. They don't understand. So and this is the problem. I understand, especially to you younger folks in this audience. I seem like the old guy who doesn't understand how much fun it is. I get that. But if you don't understand what the Catholic Church used to represent and how Eucharistic congresses used to be, the dignity that was involved, if this works for you, if you're sort of sucked into it and you want to start kind of getting into the praise and worship, well, then that's only proof to me that it's worked, that we've lost our sense of Catholic dignity, especially in the presence of the real presence of our Lord in the Eucharist, which is what this is supposed to be. These nuns that we just showed you, God bless them, they clearly have no formation. They haven't been given any. It's the same with the priests, half of them. At World Youth Day Panama, for example, the priests were actually brought in as the rock stars. No, literally. So that's the Ultra Christus and the Novus Ordo rocking out, And of course, the young people again, like, oh man, it's just they're so touched. I remember 100 years ago, I used to work security, and some of our accounts were the Civic Center in St. Paul, where you'd have big rock bands coming in, and I'd have to stand up there and guard these concerts. So behind us is Journey, in front of us is this sea of young people. And when Steve Perry would, all of a sudden, everything would slow down, the lights would go dim, and he'd be lying beside you. He started off with Open Arms. I mean, looking at the faces of these young people, they're here in the dark, and they get the lighters going. They were having a spiritual, mystical experience, you see, because that's the power of music. So I'm sorry if World Youth Day seems to be working to a lot of people, but again, it's not that different than what happens at any concert. Even a concert that's not immoral, you know, they're just singing a famous song everybody's heard. There's your favorite rock star singing, right? But then you throw into World Youth Day, I guess there was, once again, massive abuse of the sacred consecrated hosts, communion hosts at World Youth Day Lisbon. They're mistreated again, as they always are. Yeah, as they always are, and that's just the problem. Do you remember the papal mass in Manila? And this just keeps happening, World Youth Day after World Youth Day. And this is a problem, right? I mean, this time it was what, Walter? We had the viral pictures of consecrated hosts in plastic containers. I actually read the story of the young woman who walked by the tent where the Blessed Sacrament was stacked in Tupperware crates, and she said, I could get really angry or I could go back and make reparations. And so this young woman is seen then kneeling in this picture in front of the Blessed Sacrament stacked in Tupperware. Thank God she was there. So I'm not saying there are no good, solid young people at World Youth Day. Clearly there are. But as far as, you know, abuse of the Eucharist, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? That's World Youth Day, you know? What did you think was going to happen? Was it going to be the 1941 Corpus Christi procession in Cork, Ireland? Do you remember it? This is what large Catholic gatherings centered on the Eucharist used to look like.
The annual procession of the Eucharist takes place at Bandon with all its impressive religious and military ceremonial. Almost the entire Catholic population is marshaled to join in this public act of homage to the King of Kings. The military escort is in charge of Captain James Smith, the Irish Army jumper, and the local defence force in charge of Group Leader O'Keefe. The monstrance is borne by the Very Reverend J. Canon Scannell, DSO of the last war, and first chaplain appointed to the Air Army. Altar boys shower rose petals before the advancing procession, and a special place is reserved for women wearing hooded cloaks, the traditional costume of West Cork. Through the streets of the town, the solemn cavalcade winds its way to the old church. The ceremony of the Corpus Christi was never more impressive or the worshippers more devout.
Now, so you see, friends, do you see the difference? Because we can't lose track of that. Last show, we showed you out in San Francisco with Father Peyton's Rosary campaign, 500,000 young people, families praying devoutly. That's the way it used to be, you know, before Vatican II. And this is now what's considered a supremely Catholic experience at World Youth Day, after Vatican II. And what exactly were they there to hear? A lot of nice things. I'm not saying it was all bad, but of course the same old as well. This event was used by Pope Francis, by Team Francis, to once again push the globalist message.
The Pope continued to link the vast ocean, Portugal borders, and the current issues facing the world today.
The oceans are warming, and their depths are bringing to light the shamelessness with which we have polluted our common home. How can we claim to believe in young people if we do not give them a healthy space to build their future?
But again, I stress I wasn't there. I wouldn't bother doing that, going to World Youth Day, because I don't think my blood pressure could handle it. But those who were there said wonderful things were happening, including Bishop Barron, who says that young people were there because of Jesus.
It's tougher being a young person now than it was when John Paul started these things a long time ago. It's tougher now, which means we need Christ more than ever. And I want them to come away with a sense of Jesus who loves them, who walks with them, and wants to be the Lord of their life in a liberating way. If that message comes through, we got some good for them.
Well, Excellency, I certainly hope that's the case. I certainly hope that's true, that it was our Lord who brought these people, and that they're hungering for something. That I completely agree. But when they get there and they have what looks like distilled Protestantism combined with a very sort of upbeat Christian rock band for 3 days, I don't know. I'm just not sure, because it looks like a huge party went on for the most part. For most of these young people. Also, let's not forget, it was a free trip to Europe. Just, Cardinal Nighty Night Baby, Cardinal Tobin, he raised $40,000 to send young people from his diocese to Portugal. That happened from all over the world. So let's not be boomers about this, right? We know what's going on here. And of course, the young people were very grateful to Cardinal Tobin for having sent them to Lisbon for a free trip to Europe.
Thank you so much, Cardinal Tobin, for this trip. It's been an amazing experience.
Cardinal, we want to thank you on behalf of the Archdiocese and all the programs that have gone with us. We just had such an amazing time. Lives have been changed, and we're so grateful for your trust. And we look forward to the future, to evangelizing this generation, which has really been changed.
Thank you, Cardinal Tobin!
I mean, the reality is, friends, at the end of the day, everybody wants to see something happening that's going to make a change. Is World Youth Day making that change? I don't know that it is. You still have the mass apostasy. You still have the church closings all over the place. You still have a huge shortage of priests. You still have 80% of Catholics, 80% of American Catholics not going to obligatory Sunday Mass. You still have that going on. And then you go to World Youth Day, and guess what?
Everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome when we're living our dream. Everything is
Great song. Really good song. Honestly, friends, I'm not trying to look for sensational negativity here. I just, if World Youth Day for you was awesome, well, that's great. I'm glad, and I'm not here to run you down. And I know there are some really good things that happen at World Youth Day as, certain groups get together and try to evangelize for a more dignified, traditional understanding of Catholicism, such as this Latin Mass, which took place at World Youth Day. Thank God. And I'm all for traditional young people trying to bring authentic Catholicism to the public square. That's great. But World Youth Day does not mean that the Catholic Church is healthy, because that's the message now. You get all these people to show up, they run the cameras, they give their globalist message, right? They put their pop tunes out there and their liturgical disaster, and then they say, oh, so you said the Catholic Church isn't healthy. Well, check this out. Look at all those kids, it isn't. It's not healthy, and World Youth Day changes nothing. The man who was in charge of World Youth Day was very specific. I'm talking about the Archbishop of Lisbon said, this is before World Youth Day, we covered this, when we have the young people come for World Youth Day, we're not trying to convert anybody to Christ. Oh, heck no, he said. Got in a lot of trouble for that, but we know that's the truth. So yeah, I'm glad there were some solid young Catholics there who certainly are more Catholic than the Pope and who were trying to promote the traditional Latin Mass. It's fantastic. I say good for you guys and keep up the good work, That's kind of the reason that we stay on YouTube, because over there are people who don't agree with us at YouTube. And it's interesting to try to reach people. I understand that. And by the way, now, the Remnant Underground from last week was taken down by the hall monitors at YouTube, and I want to talk about that a little bit. Our channel now has another strike. There will be no YouTube premiere this Sunday because, for obvious reasons, we can't post for a while. How long is it going to be before we're permanently removed from YouTube? I'm not sure. But here's the thing, friends, and I've said this, but we really got to get going on this. We got this election year coming up. This past week, then, that video was taken down. Tens of thousands of you had signed up for my e-letter, which means that you watched the program anyway at remnant-tv.com or at the Remnant newspaper, where all of our stuff is posted. So it's really, really important that you click this link down here so that we can keep doing this, keep broadcasting this show, keep posting these videos without YouTube or with YouTube. It really doesn't matter anymore. Because as I say, there's another election on the horizon, and you know what's going to happen. It's just going to get crazy. And what it means is that intelligent people will be banned from thinking so as not to offend the imbeciles. And it's going to get shifted into high gear, I think, this fall. Speaking of imbeciles now in the press, there's big trouble for the little ferret family.